I'm just going to record this as well. Cool, so I'll just start that again. So select all, so I've got the image, edit, cut, and then over on these panels on the right hand side, I've got layers and I've got channels. If for some reason you haven't got both of them, just go up to window and you'll find channels and layers under there, and it'll pop up, and I can just drag that tab over, and when it goes blue, drop it beside the other one. Now, down the bottom of that palette, I've got a little plus and a square, and that just means create new channel. So if I click that, I have this extra channel that comes in that's called the alpha. Now, if I go edit and paste, that image that's just been hovering around the in the background now gets pasted in. I'll go.
Just you do what? You click the plus and then.
Yeah, when you click the plus, it'll create probably a black or a white extra layer called alpha.
Yeah, but my image isn't in there.
What's that?
My image isn't in there. It's just black.
Yeah, no, that's cool, because at the moment the image is just floating around above you. So if you now go edit, paste, it should pop in.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, cool. Now that at the moment it has this little selection line around it. It does at the moment with what I'm going to do. It doesn't really matter if it's there or not. So I can just leave it, or if I wanted to get rid of it, I'd go up to select, deselect. Now, what I want to do is I basically want to push the black and white so it starts to become a pattern and less of an image. And the way I do that is I do it through the levels. So if I go image, adjustments, and I go to my levels, I'll end up with this menu here. And if I pull the white slider in and I pull the black slider in, what I'm doing is I'm getting more contrast. You can see the difference if I switch on and off the preview more. It's just getting more contrasty. Now, this middle slider, if I move it that way, it's getting lighter. If I move it towards the light one, it gets darker. And so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to play with these three settings until I get something that I think is starting to create an interesting looking texture. So maybe I quite like the grain coming in, so I'm going to leave the white down one end and push the black in, so it's starting to really darken it up.
Okay.
And then once I've got something that's starting to look more like a graphic and less like a photograph. And I'm going to go OK. And if I look at my one, I'm just going to go Command plus. So all I'm doing is I'm just enlarging up the picture so I can have a look at it. It's like the bits to me that still kind of make it look like a picture is the kind of the nose and the eye. Now I'm going to try one more thing. Is over on the left, I've got these things called dodge and burn. So it's the little lollipop. And if I hold down on that icon in the toolbar, I get one called burn. Now, dodge will let the white areas get stronger. Burn lets the darker areas become stronger. So I'm going to go to burn. And this is just, it's a brush, so I can make it soft, however big I want. And then, see, it's kind of erasing the eye. And I'm just trying to make this a lot more drastic. Now, when I look at that, it's like, that's great. That's really hard to see as a photograph anymore. There's some there's some bits that I want to clean up. So at this stage, I get the paintbrush. I've been messing around with it, so I'm just going to put it back on a normal kind of generic paintbrush right up at the top. Quite hard, so like 88 hardness. And I've got black as my foreground color. I can check that it's black by clicking on this little icon down here. It needs to be the foreground color. So once I've clicked it, I know that's pure white, that's pure black. And I click this little arrow in the toolbar and it swaps them around. So now with my paintbrush, it always paints with the foreground color. So it's going to paint with black. And I can say, yeah, some of these little ditty bits I'll get rid of. And if I blow right up, I'm going to take out this bit that I think still makes it look like a nose. And actually, I'm going to take out that bit as well. So and I better take out that text. A few little bits to clean up. So it's just kind of a texture now. And I can, once I've got it how I like it, white is what it's going to fill with color. So I'm going to, with that alpha channel, I'm going to click on this little circle with the dots. And I can see by the kind of dottiness here that it's made that selection. Now what I do is I click on the tab that says layers. And I don't want to click on this. I'm going to make myself a new layer. So I come down to this box with a plus in it again. And when I click it, it makes a nice blank new layer. Now, I want to fill it with black. So I can change all these things around again, or I can just go edit, fill. And it's got an option here where it says foreground, background color, blah, blah, blah. There's one that says black. 100%. And I go, okay. That is perfect. I go select, deselect, and the only reason I can't see it is because the layer behind it is black. So if I click on that layer underneath and I go fill, what do I want to fill it with? I want to fill that with white. There's my texture. Now, God, how do I get rid of? Okay, declined. Okay, and this is perfectly perfectly fine. That is a great texture that's come from a photo. Now, so that at this stage, fine. Stick that and hand it in. So the bit that I'm going to talk about now is just
this recording that you're doing. Are you going to put this on Trello so I can go along and do it again?
Yeah. What part are you up to, Julie?
Well, my picture's turned bright red.
Oh, okay. I'll show you what's going on. Like if I click on the channels, if you do the same, if you click on your channels,
yeah.
Do you have a little eye beside your alpha channel?
Yeah.
Yeah. So see how mine's gone red?
Okay.
So do you have anything selected at the moment? Is that little kind of dotty line?
I haven't selected. I was basically painting out the black bit.
Cool. Yeah.
Around the bit that I wanted, and then somehow I've turned the whole picture red. So,
okay. So So if you click the eye off beside your alpha, does it look okay now?
No, the whole thing's gone black now. I think I need to just... What I'll do is I'll just keep watching and then I'll start again. I'll play this video back and start again if that's all right.
Yeah, that's fine. Just don't hesitate to contact me if anything's going wrong. So the extra bit that I was going to do is I was going to say, I'm working on my channel. I can see it's highlighted. I'm going to cut it down to this tiny little shape here. The red only comes on when you can see all the eyes. So if I click the eye off beside RGB, all I'm looking at is my alpha channel. Now, when it's white on black, like this is, if I go edit, transform, just couldn't, I'm used to doing the quick keys, I can't find it. Scale, so I can drag these corners out. I lost my scaling again, so I'll have to go edit, scale. Hit return, so that that takes effect. Now, if I look at this, I've scaled it right up. So sometimes it gets a little bit blurry, a little bit fudgy. I can still go into filter, sharpen, unsharp mask. If I click the preview on, I can play with it a bit. If I don't like that blurriness, you might say you like the blurriness as a texture, that's great. But if you don't, and this usually starts off on, I think about 1, and this is usually on 0. So I can see if I bump the sharpness right up, it's still a little bit funny. So I can start to bring these other things up. And I might end up with a texture that I like a bit more. This is only because I've scaled it up so much. Now, when I've got this layer selected, this channel, I know that I can get the selection tool, load the channel selection down the bottom, click on it. If I see any red, it's just because the eye's on. And as long as I can see that kind of like dotty line, I know the selection's there. Now, if I go to layers, I'll make a new layer. So you can see it comes up and it's checker pattern, so it's got nothing on it. While the selection's there, I can still drag it all the way up to the top, move that layer around, because I haven't done anything yet. Now, if I go edit, fill, while the selection's there, I'm going to fill it with black, 100%, go OK. And that one I'm just going to switch off. It's still got the selection, so I can go select, deselect, just to switch it off. Great. It's an interesting texture. Yeah, and I go with that. Then all I need to do is save it as a JPEG. Sometimes what I like to do is, I think when you save it as a JPEG, it automatically does it. But you can, beside the palettes, you can go to this little hamburger menu and go flatten. Go OK. And that just condenses everything down into one image. No layers, no nothing. And then file, save as a JPEG. So the whole thing with this is the texture that I have at the moment doesn't look anything like that original photograph. So you can take photographs, you can take marks, charcoal, anything, and if you put it through the channels, you can change it and modify it and get these beautiful, beautiful textures. All right, so I'm going to stop there and then I'll put it up on Trello.
Okay.
So when we